welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9, and of course we are playing as Germany this series. I say that because there will be new people here. There will be people that just click on this for the first time and not even know that this is necessarily a German series until they've heard that. Well, I don't know, maybe if they read the descriptions. Okay, we will give you some fuel. Sell you some fuel. Okay, so we're basically flush on that. Prix spy, so I think we're growing a bit there. So let's look at let's see what America has to steal technology wise. Slightly lower priority. Okay, the Netherlands, give them money for crude oil. No, we'll just steal your crude oil later. Yes, we want to improve relations with Japan. And they may even think they want to improve relations with us. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Second London Naval Treaty. This was a limiting factor for many nations. This is a medal up here issued by Japan of some sort. It's not like a medal of you'd wear, I don't think, on your military uniform, because it was just some sort of medal commemorating striking that Japan opted out of it. It's like, F you motherfuckers, we're going to build a navy. We're out of here, you know. So they opted out of the Second London Naval Treaty. The ones in sort of grade stayed in it. What fools. And I agree with that, what fool. Now you can go, do I hate all arms limitation treaties? Absolutely not. You know, when you nuke weapons, those are a different matter. And when you had so many, and when the US and the Soviets had so many, limiting those, limiting the number of bombers and other things like that set up to carry them, you know, I can get with the reduction. But I don't think I'm going to ever sign a treaty with somebody like the Soviets or whoever it might be, the Chinese in a modern day sense, that says, well, we'll only build X number of destroyers. Or we'll only build we'll only keep 4 carriers in service. No, I'm not going to do that. And if you go, well, it's going to be an arms race. Okay, you want to have an arms race? We'll have an arms race. We may lose the arms race depending on the country you are. You know, the U.S. The U.S. really puts its mind to it and gets its act together, which it doesn't have currently, the U.S. is going to win any arms race currently in the world. But it may choose not to, because it can do stupid things, of course. Okay, Reichstag Wall, 1936. Let's see. This is a picture of, you know, you get this to vote. Yeah, let's see. You walk into the you know, Hitler won whatever elections, or the Nazi Party won whatever elections. Okay. So you go into the ballot box. They hand you this ballot. You're going to vote. Do you want to vote for the National Socialist Deutsches Arbeiterspartei, Adolf Hitler? And this there's Frick, there's Goering, there's Goebbels. It depends on you know, for seats, I believe, in the Reichstag or something like this. And some of these vary to different areas. What some of the sub ones you can see here. Something Schwaben or whatever up there, and you'd put the yes. At this point, I don't think Maybe. And again, I don't know, and I'm sorry. I like I say, I don't read German. I don't have access to everything. But this is an actual, and I've seen several different versions of this stuff, of an actual ballot thing, that you may get one for a different party. By this time, it's not going to be the Socialist Party. But so you've got to, in front of other people watching you, get something for a different party to put the names on. It's not a secret ballot. The point is, it's not a secret ballot. So I think because because I've read a bunch of different books and watched different documentaries, and what's true in late 1933 versus what's true in 1935 versus what's true in 1938, the laws are shifting and changing in the allowed parties. May Day, 1933, the National Socialist Party, or particularly the National Socialist unions, which obviously are and we're talking the DAF, the Deutsches Arbeitersfront, the DAF, fully under instructions of the NSDAP, contacts the socialist labor unions in 1933 before May Day, 5 days before, 30 days before, I don't know. And let's have a big May Day celebration. Everybody, all the workers, we all get together, both the socialists and the National Socialists together. Not communists. This is after Germany's the National Socialists have come to power. Hitler's chancellor. There's still Paul von Hindenburg is president, and von Papen is vice chancellor. So they still sort of think they got Hitler boxed in, above him and below him. And they did, if they were going to actually be sort of effective with the army and whatever, with Hindenburg alive, still sort of have him boxed in. Okay, so they've got him boxed in. And so, they're not, and when is the Communist Party outlawed? I'm not sure, right offhand. Mostly because I've been studying 36 and on for the mods, so don't know exactly. But so it's like the Socialist and the National Socialist. Let's get together and have a big joint May Day all over Germany, all together, everywhere. Big May Day, and the National Socialists throughout their reign are big on the May Day celebration. Not just for the workers. They are trying to, in a way, turn it around a little bit more for Nazi Christmas to some degree. May Day, because it's a paganistic celebration. The Nazis really push up the paganistic elements of the May Day. More so than just the Labor Day, May Day. It becomes very much of a paganistic May Day as time goes on. But the first one with the Nazis in power, big May Day, everybody's together, hooray, hurrah, yes, go out and get drink beer all day long together and do whatever. So they have a great blowout party May Day. May 2nd, every single socialist unionist headquarter, building, facility, office, whatever, and I say every single one, who knows, there may be some machinist group in some small town that wasn't, but just most every single major socialist union's headquarters are raided by the police and the SA together. All of their files are taken, their leaders are beaten up, a bunch of them are jailed. The day after the big joint celebration, they basically effectively decapitate they're not killing, decapitating, but they're removing the leadership, and some of the leadership I think goes to some jails or camps. Don't quote me on that one. Look that one up if you want. But I know they like confiscate all the files, beat up a bunch of people and whatnot. The leaders, not the rank and file guys, but they know who everybody is. They got the membership roll. They know if there's any records on who are our most reliable, people and who aren't. So, things are shifting. So May 1st and before, sort of okay with the socialist labor parties. Now they were street battling the communists. Whether there were any communist labor unions, I presume there were, I don't know. But the Communist Party. But the day after, boom, socialist labor parties are done in Germany. So it shifts as time goes on. And we'll see this type of ballot continued on and on and on. And I've a book, Hitler's Compromises. Really good book, highly recommend it. Talks about how very much the velvet glove, with not that steelish of a hand when dealing with the German population. And so when one of the main, I think it was Catholic priests or cardinals or, bishops, I forget which, wouldn't vote for the, voting to approve the Anschluss in Germany. He was in Germany, Bavaria or somewhere. Well, the reason he wouldn't, he explained to people, to the party, oh no, I'm for the Anschluss. I just wasn't going to vote for Hitler and the National Socialists. But the vote was for both Anschluss and National Socialist. There wasn't a sort of, you get to specify which one you're voting for. You just checked off the box. Well, here's the big one. First one was just a placeholder. So we're going to do the 4,000 supplies, and as you can see here, it's really good to stockpile supplies because there's all kinds of costs, and you don't really want to interrupt your interrupting supplies to the troops a little bit. That's fine. Interrupting supplies because Germany's selling supplies to pay for rare materials and oil and such, that's bad. And also, some in TRE, I know, because I made it, but not all. Some of them are just fairly small, 1,500 supplies. I'm not going to, if you're constantly, going in the negative, whatever. But the big ones, I check. And a lot of the big supply costs in Black Ice check for a minimum amount of supplies for something to fire. So if you are not maintaining enough, like let's say want 10,000 supplies, or I don't know, 10,000 supplies. They don't want you to, we've got 200 supplies. Yeah, we'll just go in the negatives for one day and then it zeroes out and then you're fine. No, they want you to have to pay the cost. So they check, do you have like 15,000 supplies or more? So we are building lots of ICs, but we're also doing lots of supplies. You should do that. And we submodders particularly like to use supplies as a cost. Okay. Very high popularity, great, that helps us out, and we no longer receive money for supplies from the U.S., some of them. Diplomatic report, our diplomatic services reported that on April 30th, 1936, the National Assembly of Czechoslovakia passed a law on national defense. This will mean that they are increasing their ability to defend their nation. This is a notification for us. The Czechs get the full event, which helps them out with various research and other things. If we're actually going to go to war with them, they're getting more prepared. Okay, so we now have a bunch more ICs because we are very highly popular. Looking at subs. Okay, we've gotten the 30s. Oh, we can do batteries. We should do batteries. Start research. Okay. 2.5 more. Well, let's do my favorite, naval air. And we can do naval strike tactics. Improve our efficiency doing that. Okay, we've run out of money. Hopefully somebody will volunteer. Yeah, see? Okay. Okay, good. Bunch of things here. Ordering the Prinz Eugen heavy cruiser. Yes, we want to do this. This is a Black Ice event. I think it works out pretty well. So we will do this. That's a picture of Prinz Eugen or Prince Eugene. I know Germans, will be fairly familiar with him if they study history. And I said Prince Eugene because he was, the Germans, I think, know him for battling the Turks a lot, I think. But we who study 18th century and 17th century, they're very early 18th century, is he was sort of the deputy commander to General Marlborough in some of his campaigns. Leading German forces, it was a mixed German-English type thing against the French. You know how they always like to fight the French. So yes, picture him, picture the ship, picture of the... That's the banner that, you know, you'd sewn onto the front of the hat. Most navies make you take those off once you go to war, so they can't see who, you know, whose ships are in port or something. Okay, let's see. Because of the occupation of the Rhineland, these 4 divisions were called to do it earlier and mobilized. Okay, so we can do HQs only if we want to build out the divisions to our own likings. You can do so, or we can do the full divisions. Obviously, it costs a lot more supplies, 500, 6,000. Again, that's why we have lots of supplies. I'm reinforcing that as a playing tip. And yes, 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 yes. I guess you could spam and hit those multiple times. So we are going to create these units, various, and a lot of them really did look more like this in 36 than that. Just my policy on event images, different than thumbnails for what you click on YouTube, but I am rather strict on the images that I use. Like that Prince Eugen picture, that painting is like an 18th century or something painting of Prince Eugen. So somebody living in 1936 could look at that picture. The banner from the hat, it's on the ribbon. That's, I don't know if you want to call it a saucer style hat. I forget the exact naval type. The U.S. hasn't had them in a long time. That's a modern picture, but of a historical 1930s, early 40s, whatever, naval hat ribbon. So I will use modern photographs of hopefully original items, original period photographs, like the photograph of the ship, or paintings, posters, and other things that people would have seen in the period. I very strictly try to give you what people would be seeing in the period, as opposed to modern, and what can be very good. It's not a criticism of using that picture. Oh, I want to check. Did any of those go in the production queue? Yes, a bunch did. Okay, well, that's going to take forever, so let's move that down, and these guys are going to move down. Obviously, we're building I want to build we're going to let these sit there for a while. We're building mostly ICs right now. Okay, we're back down to high popularity. I knew it was probably going to happen, but okay. Wehrkress 1. A Wehrkress was a German military district. A Wehrkress was responsible for recruiting, drafting, training, and mobilizing German soldiers for an army division. It was a very efficient method for military draft and training. It also provided divisions with training replacements using the Wehrkress system. The German army was mobilized in large waves of infantry, armored and stuff. The only thing I might, and I really don't, and I guess it's just maybe my prejudice, is I don't know that it was a very efficient method of military draft training. I don't know that that's a true statement. I'm going to take issue with it. It may be a very effective. See, there's a difference between efficiency and effectiveness. But maybe a very effective method of draft training setup, because what it can do is, by what I do sort of know of it, is that you get people that are coming from a similar community, and especially in peacetime, as you sort of train them up in reserves, they sort of serve together a lot more and become better integrated a lot better. Where the U.S. during World War II is probably the best. I can't think of any other nation, and somebody could try and that in training, because they industrialized in training, and a lot of the training was sort of going through basic, say, training, but you wouldn't necessarily, the people you went through basic training necessarily go all to the same division or the same stuff. You get spread around, and you wouldn't necessarily, and again, and things changed a little bit in different times, but once it going, you would often be I don't know, recruited out of New York, but sent to camp somewhere out here. But it would also have people from Chicago and from Mississippi and from wherever else all going to this same camp and filling up this school, and then they just fill up some other school, and they'd fill up some other school. It wasn't nearly as regional of a thing once you got going. So this can be a very effective way, and maybe one of the more effective ways, but it isn't necessarily the most efficient ways. Okay, yes. Well, yes, we're gonna accept that. I want to build up a few more of these because we got a big deficit we want to. Okay, Motorsportschulen des NSKK, that's the National Socialist Motor Association, runs a 6-week driving and mechanics course at its 23 motor schools. Many members of the motorized section of the Hitler Youth, the Motor HJ, have graduated from these schools. So they have 23 motor sports schools that are basically like this. So that's your 3-story, 4-story, if you're counting that roof attic level there, building for schools and other things, classrooms and whatnot, and then your garage here with your cars. I presume they're bringing most of their cars out to sort of show off, but training. So they got these things, really trying to get Germany training the youth motorized to drive trucks and other military vehicles. So we can do that, or big increase. Again, I sort of let you, if you want to overspend on things, you can. We're just going to spend a sort of sensible amount. Okay, come on. Okay, der deutsches Polizei Beamte? I don't know. The German police officer. These are current period magazines, and you sort of notice the change in the police badge over time. Magazine was the official publication of the German police of all its branches in the Third Reich Germany. Talks about a little bit there. You can see inside it helps standardize German police policies, because when Germany, again, like I say, things change over time. When Hitler comes to power, Goering becomes the head of Prussia, and within Prussia there's the Gestapo, and he's in charge of the Gestapo, but they only have official duties inside of Prussia. Later, even while I believe Himmler or Goering is still head of Prussia, all the police are put under Himmler. So then Himmler gets the Gestapo, which then becomes part of the SS. Because the Gestapo predates the SS and the Nazi takeover. It was sort of a political police department, but of course, they were before watching the communists and the Nazis and other sorts of things. And the reason, whether they were sympathetic to the Nazis or not, they were sort of watching as, the Nazis going to cause a coup. Because you've got to remember, Ernst Röhm was looking for more of a National Socialist revolution, another sort of putsch type thing, as opposed to winning by election. So they were watching everybody. Not that they were treating everybody the same. The Gestapo actually sort of changes. The original was sort of Gestapo, and it was sort of its postal abbreviation or something like that. But Gestapo sound better, so they changed it to that. Okay, so we improved our military police, and partisan suppression. And so things change over time, and that's the big thing that one of the big continuous legacies, continuing, I should say, legacies of the Nazis. And I talked to some of the Germans about this, including Kalian, who was my editor for a while. All writers really need an editor, and she went through and edited both my German and my English for to a certain point with TRE until she no longer was available, improving both German and English. And she was very much letting me know that there was, going from pre-Nazi German was very regional, with different regional spellings, almost to some degree different alphabets in minor ways, with the umlauts and the other weird things, more so than ABC, but different sort of usage. And it was the Nazis that really sort of streamlined all that out. Okay, we're going to sell. We're going to sell. And we're going to sell. Now, let's see. U.S. They have surplus of money. Let's see if we can sell them some supplies. Okay. And Soviets. They've got a surplus of money. See if we can sell them some supplies. Impossible. They don't like us enough at the moment. I don't have enough money. What about the French? They don't have enough money. Okay. Good. Sure, Saudi Arabia. And again, I want to mention here, and several people have been asking about this, at least a few, on the ICs currently. If you get this number, the third number over here, this is sort of your base actual ICs. This is adjusted by all those different adjustments you see there, up and down. That number, if it gets over 400 in 1936, you get penalties. And if it increases more than, there's one increase, there's actually 3 levels of increase, I believe, because I quickly went in and looked at the code. And they get, I don't know if they're additive, or I don't remember whether they're additive or they add one and remove one or something like that. And then if you get more than 450 in 1937, you'll start getting penalties. And I think it's the same in 38 and 39. But if you get over, I think it's 650 in those 2 years. So I wouldn't go over 650 in 38 or 39. You'll get also a bunch of penalties. Once 1940 hits and you're controlling a few places, I didn't look them up, but I'm sort of guessing they're like Prague, Vienna, and maybe Poland or Warsaw or something like that. Once you get that point in 1940, it'll remove all previous penalties, and there is no longer a cap to how many ICs. Some people, they discovered that if you just went in and from 36 to 39 and just built ICs, then you could just start spamming everything out, or like some incredible amount. So this is sort of an attempt to do that, and which won't be a big issue, I don't think, for most Third Reich events players. But with some of the other ones, if you get Austria or Czechoslovakia into your country really early, this number can skyrocket over your 400 or 450. The reason I say, I don't remember what I'm sometimes confused, because I made a bunch of stuff covering Germany getting Austria for Hearts of Iron 4 that are not in the Hearts of Iron 3 version. I know that have minimum date requirements. And I know I have a bunch of stuff with minimum date requirements for Czechoslovakia, so that you shouldn't be able to get that too much in earlier. Now, it's not necessarily the exact historical date that it's got to be on, but it's somewhat a little bit before, but not hugely before. Okay, again, this is a cool picture. It shows what Die Block, Die Zelle, Die Ort Group, Der Kress, maybe equal to a Wehrkrest or something, and Der Gau, like as in Gauleiter, to show the sort of National Socialist organization of Germany and sort of the different areas of responsibility. This is a highly organized, highly integrated society, and which I think appeals to Germans. I think it really appealed to we would give them the Germans then. I really got to the feeling that the Germans did not like the 1920s in Germany, when it was a real fast and loose society. Of course, some people really did, because they were out there with that fast and loose society, but I really think it disturbed the German psyche. I know I got a lot of German viewers, and you can tell me that I'm wrong, that you guys don't like well-ordered society. That doesn't mean you're Nazis. Not at all. Just you like that well-organized, patterned society. That's just my understanding of it. And that's not a criticism if that's what you like as your society. It works. Oh, I wanted to look at that. Okay. Yeah. We're back to very high popularity again. We're good. You can see where it says the sort of second line of text down, internal factors. We can't change that, and none of us really know what exactly determines internal factors there as modders. We know what the events are, which are giving bonuses to political parties. But German National Socialism wasn't hugely popular at this time. 60%, maybe in 36, maybe. That's pushing it though. Okay, SS Junkerschule Bad Tolz down here. The building still exists. The archway's gone. You can go visit it in Bad Tolz if you want. Spent most of its life and its existence being a U.S. Army base, because the U.S. Army took it over after World War II, and was there until we basically withdrew all of our all of the units from that part of Germany. I know we still have some bases in Germany. I don't think we have much troops stationed in Germany anymore. I know we have, what is it, Ramstein Air Base or something. It's a major complex. Those are upgradable, but well, okay, we'll do one of these. AFV, sorry. Traction suspension has advanced. Well, that's good. I'll pause this. I don't want you guys popping up. There we go. Now we can do tank destroyer or armor plate thickness. We're going to do armor plate thickness because it's really useful to getting other things. Deutscher Frencher, I don't know, Radfunk, sorry. Paul Niptow, that's Berlin Television. I have a clip of that on the channel if you want to go down and see it, see some of what it looked like. TV, so you want to have TV or not? And She started every day, I think, through the entire career until the end of it. Ursula Pachnik, sorry, I'm mispronouncing it, and starting the day's TV with Achtung, Achtung, Freshender, Paul Nichtau, whatever. But it was very sort of Achtung, Achtung, she would do every day. And so that was broadcast. That's sort of the holding screen, what it looked like. Reichslust Ministerium. This is an event that I made and put in here, and then spent a year or two of it without it firing, and didn't realize it. This is the picture that I put there as a placeholder, because this is looking at. I think this is looking for the Reich Chancery, Speer, but that picture should be updated. But I just got this back going in, so it wasn't firing. So now we'll get need a bigger one. Yeah, this is the Reich Chancery. So I recognize that. Yeah, so we get we'll be getting some improvement here. Need to fix that a little better. Okay, the 1936 Monaco Grand Prix, obviously held in Monaco. Let's see, Mercedes-Benz as well as Prosperous Type C, newcomer, were all eliminated, so we lose some money. Hans Schuren, he's in charge, that's that guy there. He's in charge of, he's inspector for physical education for the Reich Arbeitsdienst. So we get infantry unit fitness. Okay, this is something new here. Bavarian Czech, new to me at least. It's not in my, I'm presuming this is part of GGA. Bavarian Czech border positions, a defensive fortification from the 1930s, range from northern Selb to southern Erzland. Okay. Bavarian Czech border. Presuming it's along here. Let's see, we could continue it. NSDAP gains 1 popularity and pillbox level 1 in Weldon. Where's Weldon? Up here, okay. We don't need it. Loses. Cost us 400 supplies. Well, we got enough supplies to do that. Money 3. Well, we're losing money hand over fist, but we can afford 3. And this is obviously something we don't need to defend against the Czechs if we don't have to fight the war. But it's a cool immersion, so we're going to do this. It's even just this pillbox instead of that fortress. Okay, well, so we now have some pillbox defenses here. Oh, no, I want to do this actually. Can we sell more supplies to the US? Yay. We're almost out of money. Install our blueprints, the Hessen. Yeah. And yes, you can have some fuel. We're back down to high popularity. I don't mind hanging out at high popularity at this point. Okay, who else might we sell supplies to? Switzerland? No. We don't have enough money. Saudi Arabia. Oh, pause. Don't want things popping up just at the moment. Now, Sweden here. They've got money. They need supplies. Oh no, we're not cooked up. We can click on Sweden to do that. No, they don't like us enough or something. Turkey. Well, they've got money. They need some supplies. No. No, they don't want. Republic of China. You should buy supplies. Can we trade with you? No. Don't have a coastal city, I guess. Italy, got money? Well, not much. No, not enough for you. Want to trade? Honduras, no money. The Soviets. Let's try the Soviets again. Nope. Okay. Well, okay. Controllable pitch propeller. Good. Build radio stations. Okay, this is a Righteous Radfunk Geschell shaft, but notice this is one of their ads from it. It says Germany calling. It's their attempt to broadcast outside of Germany, so this would help us with relations around here, and cost us some metal, a little bit of supplies, a bunch of energy. Okay, another new thing for me. Okay, the Palmern Wall. The Palmern Wall was a line of fortifications in Pomerania from Landsberg and der Werthel up to Stampeld, and created from 32 to 45. Germany began preparations for the constructions of fortifications along the new border established by the Treaty of Versailles. With Poland after the First World War in 1932, the work on the construction of concrete fortified position began, similar to the Festungsfront Oder Werther Bergen, utilizing lakelands here and in the Deutsche Kron should be the key points for the fortified lines. 1934, a portion of the walls between were built. Okay, so if we do this, cost us 22 money. Gain popularity or lose popularity. Well, I don't want to lose the popularity. I'm willing to spend the money. New set in. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Deutsche Kron. Belgard. Let's see that all back in here. Oh, so they're maybe being sensible. And Schlop. Okay, so they were being sensible and going, hey, we ain't defending that. We're just going to, defend a more sensible border. Okay. You can choose not to have that, and that's part of the reason I want you to watch my series, is to see what's going on, and you can learn to know if you really want to have the GGA element that has the fortifications, but these are just minor fortifications. These still useful if you're going to actually fight on them. Now, of course, I hope never to need them, because I hope, one, we're going to almost guarantee crush Poland, and I guess if viewership was to be super high, I would fight it out to the death of Germany. Soviets marching in and holding these lines. But that'd take super high viewership. Could happen. SS Odensbergen. This is sort of the premier one of them, I think. One of the few that got fully completed. These are sort of elite Hitler youth camps for older boys just about ready to go into the rad kind of sort of aged. And training schools. So these either the barracks down here, the sort of classrooms are up there. It's built on the side of the hill. It's flat on the other side, but it gives sort of a spectacular viewpoint. So Price's leadership also including some of the other places where the other schools were. This is new and new coming school children in their regular clothing. The teachers looking out over it, looking down from where we were just looking up there. You want them more info. You can see another view looking there, and again you can skip these more info inside big swimming pool, like lecture hall or some sort, cafeteria kind of thing. This is plaza on the other side. There's that tower you saw from the other side of this building, and right there and right there these neat sort of eagle things. I like some of these architecture type stuff. And here is at least one picture of the staff. That's sort of what the staff uniform looks like in that. I don't know exactly if those are teachers or probably not the cleaning staff, but there. Energy magazine. This is the sort of one of the trade magazines in Germany, so that helps us with a lot of technical stuff. But you notice I'm just giving you little teeny minor gains on these various stuff, help different researchers and developers on things. I'll be doing this eventually for the US and other countries for Hearts of Iron 4. It helps out whatever nations they're talking about, but not major. I don't think any significant unbalancing of things. Okay, well, let's come here and get that. Okay, broadcasting event. Oh boy, we have that. That's good. We'll stop. Nation broadcasting. Yes, 38. We're going to stop that. Machine gun focus events. That is for aircraft. Stop that. Industry advance, great. As you can see, costing us manpower, but man, that helps on ICs. You just gotta watch some of these here it is. Thanks. So what you need to do here, and I've been thinking about this since a few people have been bringing it up and asking questions. If you start to get too close, obviously we're right now in April, it's very early, but we're not anywhere near 400. But if we start to get close to 400, you can either try shifting all of these, down at the bottom and build ships and aircraft and whatever else to just not complete them. So you don't have to cancel them. You can have them like 80% complete, shift it down to the bottom, wait for the next year to come about, which you can get 50 more. But even with that, because really 37 and 38, you should be having no territorial gains as Germany. So you shouldn't be grabbing Austria or Czechoslovakia or anything like that. But what still you can do is you can come here to your policy laws, and trust me, it would be better, especially if you're, 3/4 of the way through the year and getting close to one of these things. Jump back down to consumer goods, or go from war economy to full mobilization, or back down to basic mobilization to finish out that year. And then presumably if you're like me and don't want to do the math, how much I see difference between -25 and +10%, you can save the game and then switch your economic laws to keep you from going over your limits. So watch that carefully. So this is obviously going to increase, or has increased, our adjusted ICs, garrison deployment, which I know just those are one and done. And twin engine Bombay has advanced. Okay. Here, okay, 38. So we want to stop that. So we've got a bunch more ice or research things, and we want to do 36 technologies or doctrines. We're going to do some of these here now. Yeah. There we go. Be the most efficient. Okay, so, well, let's see. Can we do another? Yes, we can. That should get us out of the red at least, or just barely. And another technology. Standardized infantry branch. Yeah, that's one of these that are too big to show up on the screen. Okay, we can do heavy AA guns. We're gonna like heavy AA guns in this game. Special Forces branch, okay. Is that grayed out or not? Yeah. No. Okay, pop up and pause. Okay, radios have advanced. Great. And, but we want to stop that. And something else came up. Oh, artillery brigades have increased as well. Another one of these that can't be shown anymore. Something welded plate construction, I guess, maybe. We need down there. Okay, yes. Well, we might as well do tank. Oh, well, now let's come down here. And let's do some of these. Do engineer and motorized engineer. There we go. The heat wave of 1936 all across North America, one of the most severe heat waves in modern history. Death toll exceeded 5,000 in the United States alone. Many summer harvests were destroyed, drought occurred, and many people suffered. Many high-class areas had indoor ventilation and cooling. So many employed in rich businesses were unaffected, and the heat wave lasted until September. Again, I don't know who wrote that, but I know I've commented on the board. I detest the idea of rich businesses were affected. For years, I had an office in buildings, several buildings, I'm thinking. One I know was built in the 1920s. The other built in the 1920s or 30s. All of them were in another third building, because sort of moved around. In one building I was in and then left and then came back to. And all of them, I had window air conditioning. No, one of them did have some retrofit, but it was a pseudo window type thing. Others had window air conditioning. Most and these are, trust me, would be nice office buildings and nice downtowns at the time. There were definitely air-conditioned buildings, but I would not say employed in rich business. In offices, yes. In rich businesses, no. So that's just some sort of class thing. You know, now people working in hot factories and people working out on the farms, there's obviously no air conditioning. You don't have air conditioning in a steel factory. To this day, well, the office part of the factory you do, but where you heat up the steel, it's going to be hot, whatever it is. I just don't like that class distinction warfare element that people are putting in. People often ask questions, or you see ask questions, when would you like to live? Well, I really, really love indoor plumbing. So I want to live in an age that has indoor plumbing at least. And then, secondary, it's air conditioning. I really love air conditioning. So electrical ages. So if you can get me air conditioning and indoor plumbing, I'm pretty good. So, I could deal with the 1930s and 40s and whatnot. Obviously I can live in California where I do, which isn't so bad, at least not coastally. You go inland, you got Death Valley and places, so it's going to be worse than the worst. But other places, it's really nice. So you could do okay there. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like societies in other periods of time, but I like that indoor plumbing. And of course, computers are great too, so having them. But when I grew up, they weren't like they are today. So, Seabad Pora. Now, I was talking earlier about the DAF and KDF with the ships going out to different areas. This was the sort of super building. They only built one of them. They were planning on building more. Not sure how many in different locations. And this building, I actually think this is maybe a modern picture of the building that I grayed out, or was it grayed out? I don't know. But this building still exists. It was never completed. It was never open to the public. Some parts of it were used as, I think, like recovery hospitals or something during the war period, or barracks or whatever. I sort of wonder why they've left it up there. I don't know whether they're leaving it up as some sort of, I think it was in East Seabad Pora. I'm pretty sure that was what was Eastern Germany. They've denazified it, got rid of, the hammers and the cogwheel swastikas. But whether they're leaving it up as a historical thing or whatnot, but it's still there if you want to go visit it. I've seen some photos. So we can do, this is, again, which some of us modders, you can either pay for it or lose popularity, which with this, of course, popularity, you lose amounts of research and other positive effects if you lose too much of it. So we're going to pay for it. And this is part of my philosophy, again, with Third Reich events. I give you a lot of things that help you, more factories than Black Ice does as a standard. More heavy factories, more resources. Again, I take a bunch away at the beginning, but you get them back in stages. I give you more than that, but especially in the pre-war stages of the game, I make you pay for civil projects or give you penalties. Some I make you pay for. Some just you get penalties for choosing no, because that's sort of the. I'm trying to simulate the idea of Germany running, National Socialist Germany running National Socialist Germany. Yes, preparing for an eventual war. They didn't think it was going to happen in late '39. They thought it was going to be like 42 or 43, the big one. Not a little war with Poland, but a big war with France and Britain, and then later with the Soviets and whatnot. But so I give you all of that. I give you a bunch of additional resources and building things, but you have all these other sort of, shall we say, civil needs that you have to take care of. But so you can't build your army up as much, or Navy or Air Force, as much as you can without TRE. But as time goes on, and as the war starts, all of these civil projects disappear, the civil effects go away, and you really start able to convert it all over to military production. So it's sort of a balancing work. So all this extra ICs that I give you and all these resources and all this stuff, doesn't it make Germany easier? Well, I'm not good with the math. So somebody wants to get out calculators and figure all this stuff out and figure it out, you can. But I try to balance it out generally, shall we say, instinctively between these things. And so like here, this is the Horse vessel. Today it's called the Eagle. The reason it's called the Eagle today is it's in the United States Coast Guard as the United States Coast Guard training vessel. So the Horse vessel still sails, but it's the USS Eagle or whatever it's called nowadays. So this it was already in development in 36 because obviously they're getting it in May now. But it's a training ship for the Navy at this time. And you see for now until June we get plus 3% leadership. So again, I'm giving you a bunch of things and we just hit a negative on steel. Okay, we will give them money for fuel, and let's see if we can well, the Soviets for trade buy some steel. Okay, we are in a positive. We just took a huge hit, and I have been meaning to. Yeah, we can afford this, so rebalance some of this stuff out. Okay, because we searched up our new level of broadcasting. Let's see our capabilities here. It'll come in a minute, I guess. Okay, so we got the engineers upgrading for the things. These things go pretty quick, so let's see here. I think you can only do one of these and it blocks out the others. So let's look here. Well, forward attack 2%. Forward attack 4%. Forward attack 10%. So max speed down by 0.25, down by 0.10. Also, or no speed reduction. The supply I get fully, and I get the speed too. You're hauling around heavier guns. Don't know quite the softness, but well, no, this is just supply consumption. So I was misreading that. Sorry, supply consumption by that. Okay, so this is the only one that slows us down. So softness. Okay. At this point, I'm looking. Why wouldn't we take looking at negatives? I don't see a negative response here between these two. Positive, more soft attack here. Better fort. River, mountains for mountains. Like, is there some movement? And we're going to go medium. So look at that. The TRE building is down by 6%. I think that's what's really hammering us right at the moment. I think it'll come back up in a moment here, or shortly. See, we're already back up to here. Keep hitting the wrong button. Yeah. Okay, get these back. 2 sensible levels. For some reason, it just, some of the effects, and man, that may have been one of those things that should have crashed the game out, but I guess we're more stable now. Yeah, it's too much production. We still want to punch over. Okay, there we go. That's better. So that was just something brief. Okay, well, let's deal with the bomb improvements. Okay, we'll leave that, and we're going to come over here. Now, between these two, into the negatives. Fuel consumption, yeah, more, but we're going to go with medium artillery as well there. Good, okay. German-Yugoslav trade agreement. The German-Yugoslav governments concluded an economic agreement to promote trade between the two countries. That's what they did historically at this time. We can go good and we'll gain some money, lose a bit of supplies. We can afford it, we like the money, or we have other plans and not have the trade agreement. We'll go with that. The formed the Reichsarbeitsdienste Welbenlook-Jugend. The RAD WJ. Now I understand what it is, because I see that all the time. The female branch of the RAD, the male branch was technically known as the RAD-M, but always referred to simply as the RAD, was formed in April 1936 when the free-willing Frauenarbeitsdienst, also known as the Deutsches Frauenarbeitsdienst, whatever, was made part of the RAD. Yeah, right around, I think it was 39, there was a name change in effect, and sort of expanding of the RAD. It was, oh, I forget right offhand, but it was another labor service name that happened. The RAD, and I think it's when the RAD comes into existence formally, is it becomes a draft service, meaning that basically all the young men now, leaving the Hitler Youth, I say basically because obviously Jews are excluded from it, and so I'm sure there's other groups of people that are excluded from it. But if you're going to be excluded from it, you're going to be excluded basically from society. Not just, oh, people won't invite you to parties. You don't get to work in factories. You don't get to work, go to work at any sort of business who's going to be a Nazi business, because do you have Jews working at your department store? You better not, kind of thing. So you're being excluded from society in more ways than one. So if you're excluded from service, or you're exempt from service for the young men, and going into the RAD, you're not in a good position. National Socialist society. Now, for the women at this point, it is very much, if I'm not mistaken, it is a voluntary organization. Later, it moves into a requirement for women. So, not feasible. No, we'll take this. Supplies improved. Great. Now, if you think that the drafting of women is something sort of unique to dictatorships, well, in Britain, basically all young women, by, I don't know, 42, 43, were drafted. Or if they didn't go into a, if they weren't, didn't have, married or didn't have children, I don't know, one of the two. If they weren't sort of married or something like that, they, and weren't in a protected, went into a protected occupation, could be something, well, arms factories, or just, I don't know, uniforms, clothing factories. It's obviously during the war, they're making, for the most part, uniforms. If you've got a job, fine. But if you don't have a job, eventually Britain is going to draft the women into non-combat and often non-military. It's the, what is it, ATS? I keep missing, or AST or something like that. service, and or the Women's Land Army. You sort of had choices, but if you don't make any choices, you don't take any, you don't decide to proactively make a choice, they'll decide for you and send you where they think they need you, and you can handle it. Okay. Reich Ritter Führerschule. This is a period painting of it. There's a nice SA toy soldier and one of the badges you earn for going to some of these schools. Now this is a leadership school for located in Berlin, Zahrendorf-Duppel, wherever that is. I presume outside of Berlin, but don't really know. Sort of a leadership school for the Ritter SA. So this is unlike the other things I was talking about earlier. Just the NSRK, the Ritter Corps, that could have, your local horse breeders in it. This is for SA leadership type elements and whatnot. For, their Ritter units. These guys. Okay, so we're good. Back with positives. Positives. I think France has stopped trading with us, even though we have one trade there. And I'm going to take this opportunity to end this episode here on this happy note. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And of course, please post comments, questions, suggestions, ideas. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.